Okay, in this video, you're going to see how to structure a clean UI in Canva code, the scoring logic with personalized analysis, and a consent first call to action flow. And we're going to save the Google Sheets connection for part 3. So first off, just a reminder of where we started with this project. In part 1, we built the user interface, and that was from a single prompt. And that prompt was generated from our cursor code project that we had used Canva to dress it up a little. So we've gone full circle and now just created this project 100% in Canva at this point. And it's looking pretty good. We've got the gradients good. The text up here is still a little wonky. I will probably drop in actual logos. I have an Intuit Enterprise Suite logo, and I have my firm's logo, and that'll make this even better. But otherwise, the form's looking good. We've got the gradients here. We've got the progress bar, and we're going to go through the coding on that. All the drop downs are here. So it's overall looking really, really good. So that's the prompt, and I'm just going to hide that for now to not distract. And then to see the code, just come up here and do show code. So you can see all the code. And at this point, I do want to switch over to my Notepad Plus because it's easier to read the code, and there's 890 lines of it. That's quite a lot of code to scroll through without any boundaries, which I've been able to put into Notes Plus. So if you don't know Notes Plus Plus, it's free on the internet. Just go search Notes Plus Plus. You'll find a free download. There's 3 big sections of the code. We've got the style section, which is really all the CSS. It's where the gradient's at. And you'll find markers along the way. That's what we're going to talk about along the way. We have the body section, which is all the HTML. And then we have the script section down here, which is more of the form and connecting to the Google Sheet. That's our 3 big sections. And first I want to go through the actual, let's come back here. Yeah. So there's 3 kind of regions when we look at this. There's the header, there's the actual form, and then there's a result. So just as a reminder, what happens when we do results, we go through and pick the most extreme case. Okay, and also notice how that progress bar was moving. We'll talk about that along the way too. So see, it's tracking of our 6 questions. We filled out 50%. We do another one, we're at 67, and then 83, and then finally at 100%. Okay. And so I've filled out my questions. Now I'm going to get my score. And if I wanted to reset, I could do that here too. That's a nice little convenience. It's in the form. When I clicked to get my score, I received my score, and I got a 6 out of 6 because, of course, I went for the most extreme. And we'll talk about how we get the analysis. And the other thing here where I touched on in the intro was you were able to get this far and get your score with the analysis without giving me any of your contact information. So we made that completely frictionless. We want you to be able to play around with the form, get your score, see how it is, see what the analysis is. And only then, if you think that this is for you and you should check it out further, then do you have that option. So what this does is it expands the potential virality of the form because I'm not hitting you over the head like at every turn to get your contact information. So, I'm in a company and I'm, looking at this, but I'm like, yeah, we're going to wait. But my buddy could actually use this. Let me send this over to him. We haven't roped the buddy into a sales call, which nobody appreciates that. So in order to do the contact information, we say you're in an excellent position to transition to an enterprise level solution. It would be beneficial to discuss the next steps for migration on a free call. And this will change. This will change based on the score, but only at this point, if I decide I want to go ahead and schedule a call, do I need to even think about that? So I've read this. I'm like, I should look at this a little further. Once I click here, now I have the option to actually fill out my information. And another thing too, notice I can change my score as I go. And I should have done that before I did the form. But anyway, The most important thing is if you wanted to actually click through here and try the different pieces, you can do that. Once again, we're trying to let people investigate on their own versus locking them in. Okay. And then when they're ready to actually give their contact information and give consent to be contacted, then they can go and press the button and have us contact them. All right. So that's just a refresher of how the form's working. Let's get into the code again. So, like I said, we have 3 core regions: the header, the form, and the results. So header, the form, and the results. And that's going to be in the code here at line 42. This is the header. So this is where we're doing all of what I call the beautification. So this is where we get the Intuit, we get the IES, all of the branding and the sizes and the typography and all that. That's all in this part here. We got down to 120. This is where the actual progress bar is. So you see progress fell after. There's the shimmer. The question content is here. And how that's all displayed is in this section. And then the scoring and the analysis is going to be down here at 580. This is why I like using Notes Plus, because I wouldn't get the line numbers in Canva code. So this makes it much easier to actually be able to talk through. So this is actually how we're scoring. We're giving a 1, 2, 3, or 4 score for each of the answers, depending on the severity. So your top score here is going to be a 19. So that's your top score. And then obviously your lowest score is going to be a 6. And we're getting a total score there. Okay, so that's that. The gradient, the simple progress bar, we talked about that. Okay, so this is how we're actually doing the slider bar for the progress. So we're saying how many have been answered, divide that by 6 to get a percentage. And if we come back over here to the form, you'll see there's actually a percentage here. So this is the code that's doing all that. And then how do we map the answers to the actual score? That's going to be down here in row 581 right here. Like I said, we get the scores based on the answers, and that's going to give us 3 tiers of responses. So over 75%, and we calculated this at 19. So if you're over 75% of the 19, then we're saying you're ready now. If you're over 50%, then we're saying your readiness level is getting ready. And if you're under 50, then we're saying early stage. So 631, this is where we're actually getting into crafting the tailored answers. So in the Cursor project, it actually is connected to ChatGPT through the API, where the answers are much more dynamic. Canva code didn't do that. It actually generated answers, but it's using like a syntax type of setup where it is saying if you have complex billing and multiple entities, then you're going to get one response. If you have a large team and you have complex billing, then you're going to get another set of responses. So it's dynamic to a point. So it is considering all of the answers at the same time. And that's coming up here where we actually have, not just the team size, but we actually do an analysis. And this is relative to the other answers that you gave. So that's pretty good. And this is not required because it's Canva code, not requiring the API because it's really pre-written everything. Okay, last is the submission computes results and renders them without a server requirement. Okay, so we go down here to 755. So this is where we're going to actually put everything together and start getting it to log into the form. And that's done without a database or anything else like that. And then that piece where we said, okay, if you don't ever press the button, let's see if I can go back or not. I don't know if it'll let me go back or not. Let me reset the form real quick and I'll just do whatever. Okay. So if we never click the explore growth planning, take the next click, then we'll never capture that information, and that's fine. The program's just fine with that. And this gives the user the option of whether they want to go to the next step or not. So that logic is here where, let's see, 796. That's here. So we're showing the contact panel only after they validate that they want to talk to us further. And then for logging, we're building all of that payload to go to the Google Sheet back up here in this piece of code. Couple things to do from Canva code to Google Sheets. There's a program inside Google Sheets called AppScript, and that's going to require that you set up endpoints. So the endpoint is going to be something like this: https script.google.com macros s, and normally this would be a really long string of characters and then the /exec. For the purposes of video, you want to keep that string of characters private. You don't want to put it out on YouTube videos. Another reason why I brought the code over here for demonstration. So I just changed that string to do not show, so you guys can't go mess with the form. Not that anybody would do that. But anyways, when you do your form, you'll want to keep that private. And also there's a secret that gets passed back and forth to make sure that, it's a legit, even if you have this, is it legit to be able to drop information into the Google Sheet? You need the secret code, which you program on the other side as well. So it gets set on both sides and only the programs in theory know it. This I also changed to do not show. When I do part 3, where I actually connect it, you'll see it. That's fine, because then we'll just blow it away. But anyway, we will start talking more on the channel about security, and we're never going to be cybersecurity experts, but there are certain things that, it's just bare bones basics that we should be making sure we're doing some base level cybersecurity things. Don't share your ChatGPT API code, by all means. That's direct to your credit card. So that kind of thing we're going to talk about. Don't expose your databases to the world. This database that we would be building in the Google Sheet, it is collecting personal information, name, phone number. In the form, I did set a field for put in your phone number and then tell me whether it's work or mobile, with the idea that way we would know whether we could text you or not. Now, I will say the consent that we have in there right now is not strong enough for texting, but at least it's a placeholder. So that's the security thing that you need to make sure you're protecting your database and whatever information you're collecting from your users. Somehow along the way, don't know how, don't know where, could have been Canva code, could have been typing mind telling us stuff. We did get some Cloudflare kind of junk in here. Not that Cloudflare's junk, but it's just code that's related to Cloudflare that we likely don't need. It's nothing that we intentionally put in, and it would probably be best to kill it. The thing is, I don't know if I kill it, if it kills the whole project, and if it's something that Canva code needs. So just be aware that that's there. And we found that by just doing a check at the end of, if we just do HTTP, I have two places where I'm showing like a outside URL in the code. And this one is actually visible to the user because it's the privacy policy. It actually shows up on the form when they submit, which is not working. And then the other place you should have something like an outside URL is here on your endpoint. So based on the way we built this project, we know we should only have, really, there's 2 HTTPs. And then in the process of doing that check was when we found this additional stuff down here, which, like I said, was not part of our project. It just kind of landed there. Not sure if it's part of Canva code that Canva code needs or what. We have not done a lot of working through code and walking through code and seeing what it's like, seeing how it stacks. So that is why I wanted to do a code review now that we've got this built. It's pretty settled. It is working with the Google Sheet. Don't know if I'm brave enough to show that or not, but let's see. Come back here. It's not going to show because, maybe it will. Okay, so today is September 25th, and this is everything that we've been doing has been logging into the sheet, which is great. So it's in the responses tab, and That's great. So I will explain all of this on the next video, but you'll see that we are capturing, really everything. I didn't actually fill out the form on this go around to, let's see, from yesterday, I believe. Yes. So here's today's responses, putting stuff in the form. I didn't actually fill out contact information, so you'll see that that information never filled out. In prior runs it did, but we will get into the actual Canva form, or the actual Google Sheets form, how it connects, and what information is coming over and when and why in the next video. So make sure you check that one.